Nope. 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 Big no. In the words of Jeff Cavaliere from Athlean-X, let's visit the iron graveyard and dig out kettlebell exercises that you should never do again in your life. And let me show you which ones to do instead. Gregory van Lebe here. On this channel, we're about all things kettlebells. So if you enjoy kettlebells, then hit that like button and consider subscribing. The first kettlebell exercise that you should erase from your workout catalog is the Russian twist. My brother Luca from Kettlebell Hardstyle Pro would consider this exercise a poisonous exercise. And the reason for it being is it puts your spine in a very delicate position. Nevertheless, there are wrestlers, grapplers, and maybe MMA fighters who need that abdominal armor and who maybe will be put in those positions. And for these people, it may make sense to incorporate these exercises in their routines. However, for the rest of us, it is simply not necessary to put your spine in rotation with additional load, which may cause injury or problems down the road. So instead, do a windmill. Yes, it is a complicated exercise and it takes some skill to learn it. And we always say that you should consider hiring a coach to better understand these exercises. The windmill allows your lower back to stay locked and safe while rotating the T-spine. Therefore, you're granting safety for your most vulnerable part of the spine while still being able to work your obliques, because that's what people are focusing on when they're working the Russian twist. The second exercise you should never do in your life is the weighted crunch. The forces that act on your spine when you engage in a crunch and you load it can be problematic, and you will probably only feel it years down the road. So you should better disengage with an exercise that may cause a cumulative trauma over the years. What to do instead? Swings and cleans. These are the most powerful exercises that you can do with the kettlebell, and this defines the most differentiating factor of kettlebells, and that is the ballistics. Like the windmill, it requires some skill and requires some practice, but this is how you're supposed to engage with the kettlebell if you want to do some work for your abdominals and your midsection. Exercise number 3 is the kettlebell sit up, and it goes into that same direction as the crunch, especially if you do it loaded. Again, I want to quote Dr. Stuart McGill. He says, many of the studies attempting to evaluate the role of increased fitness in back health actually included exercises such as the sit up that have been known to cause back troubles in many people. Each sit-up produces low back compression levels close to the U.S. National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health action limit, and repeatedly compressing the spine to levels higher than the NIOSH action limit has been shown to increase the risk of back disorders. So what would be a better option? Let's simulate the logical progression from a crunch to a sit-up. If you do swing and cleans instead of a crunch, now if you want to substitute the sit-up, then go for a snatch. Again, highly skilled exercise, but this is how you work your abdominals and your midsection the most. Exercise number 4 is the kettlebell curl. Yes, people are actually doing curls with kettlebells. And while I do understand to a certain degree that a kettlebell may provide itself to do some curls, I want to explain to you the subtle problematic situation that occurs when you start curling kettlebells. What the kettlebell tends to do is increase force and tension on the wrist. Because of the fact that the weight distribution of the kettlebell is not symmetrical, but it pulls everything down on its heaviest point, will have a tendency to pull your wrist backwards, potentially causing your wrist to be extended when you don't want it to be. So what can we do instead? Do single cleans or double cleans. And I can guarantee you with the doubles, if you use a little bit of heavier weights while you still are able to provide good and quality form, your biceps will do a lot of work. Number 5 of the kettlebell exercises that should remain on the iron graveyard is the kettlebell triceps extension. Now, just like the curl, the triceps extension follows the idea of a bodybuilding type of mindset, which has penetrated our culture for years now. The problem that I see with the kettlebell is because of its weight distribution, again, it may put your shoulder in a very delicate position. And if you choose heavy heavier weights, you might accelerate any problems coming your way in your most mobile but yet most vulnerable joint, that is your shoulder. So what can you do instead? Grab 2 heavy kettlebells and do some kettlebell dips if you want to. Or put the bells aside and do one of the best calisthenics exercises there is, and that is the push-up. Yes, the push-up works your chest, but it also works your triceps. Kettlebell exercise number 6. They call it the Kettlebell Press Out. I think that's a pretty strange name, and that's one of the reasons why you should ditch that exercise. Now, actually, I've heard that my mentor, Dan John, came up with an exercise that is called the heartbeat. And that exercise looks similar to that so-called press out, but Dan John's idea behind it was to build awareness for your abdominal wall. Now, while I do see applicability for an awareness exercise, I don't see its use as a strengthening exercise, because people tend to think that a press out exercise is for your chest, when in reality, if you follow the logical conclusion, if you push a weight that's outside your center of mass, it will create an additional moment arm because gravity pulls everything down in a straight line, therefore causing torque in your shoulders and not in your chest. So what can we do instead? Do a press. When you rack the weight and you pull the kettlebell close to your heart, as I would like to call it, you always work your chest. And if you go into an overhead top fixation where you keep the kettlebell extended, a simple press as we will call it, then your chest does some stabilizing work as well. And you can always jump back to the good old push-up. Kettlebell exercise number 7 is the kettlebell toe tap. This is where you put the kettlebell on the floor and then you start toe tapping the kettlebell. For this exercise, you don't even need a kettlebell. So what would be a better option? If you're looking for some cardiovascular work, then do some hybrid swings for time, or you go run on a treadmill, or you go run outside. Number 8 of the most useless kettlebell exercises that you can ever do in your life is the kettlebell glute bridge. Now, the glute bridge in and all by itself is a great awareness exercise and a great neuromuscular exercise where you start connecting your brains to your butt. However, when you start using it as a strengthening exercise, there is one simple problem. The weight of the kettlebell simply does not give you enough resistance to really do some work. And yes, of course, there are heavier kettlebells around, but if you put a 48 kilogram kettlebell on your hips, I don't think that this feels comfortable, and I don't think that you do anything safe and good for your lower back. So what can we do instead? Engage in a goblet squat, one of the best exercises that you can do with a kettlebell, and it was invented by my mentor, Dan John. Exercise number 9 is not a kettlebell exercise per se, but it is a kettlebell flow. Now, what is a flow? A flow is when you combine multiple kettlebell exercises together. Now, while I do think that kettlebell flows can make sense if you follow a proper kinetic chain, in many cases, people simply misunderstand what a kinetic chain really is. Let me explain. If you combine 2 muscle groups that don't work well with each other, let's say a bicep and the legs, then you have a problem. Because if you choose an exercise that combines both, then you'd have to choose a light weight for your biceps, but then your legs don't get a lot of work. But if you choose a weight that challenges your legs, then your biceps won't be able to even work with that weight because it's too heavy. Now, instead of you losing your mind on how to build the perfect proper kinetic chain, do one of the best kettlebell flows there is, and that is the Turkish get up. The Turkish get up is one of the most bang for your buck exercises because it is a full body exercise like most kettlebell exercises if you treat the kettlebell properly. It works your mobility, it works your strength, it works your flexibility, your endurance, your power, everything all at once. And once again, we understand that it is a skilled exercise, but I'd rather talk to a coach who gives me the skills necessary to perform this exercise than waste my time with something that doesn't really provide a lot of value. Number 10, the last exercise that you should ditch right away is the Kettlebell Upright Row. The reason for this is very simple. The Kettlebell Upright Row puts your shoulder in a delicate position. And this is just not worth the gains. So what can we do instead? Do deadlifts or do rows, or in that case we could have a small flow that makes a lot of sense, and that is a deadlift and a row combined. Bonus exercise, one of the worst exercises that you can ever do in your life is the Kettlebell American Swing. The Kettlebell American Swing puts your shoulder again in a delicate position. In the Kettlebell Upright Row, you at least have some control. But with the American Swing, you put your shoulder continuously loaded ballistically in a troublesome and dangerous position. The ballistic nature of the exercise can wreak havoc on your shoulder. So what would be the perfect substitute? I already mentioned it, the kettlebell snatch. And the reason why you don't put your shoulder in a delicate position with the kettlebell snatch is because your shoulder is free to move and you're able to create more space. Be careful with your shoulder. It is one of the most mobile, but yet one of the least stable joints. So as a verdict, my friends, I want to address one of the biggest critiques that I'm getting when I do videos like this, and that is always the same. Now you're saying that these exercises are wrong, but still I want to do them, or I can do them, I'm equipped to do them, or I do them with light weights. And for this critique, I have the perfect answer, and I got it from my mentor, Dan John.
Well, there's a phrase I use a lot. It's just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed the video, like it, consider subscribing if you want to see more kettlebell content. And if you're looking for a kettlebell program that builds you up from a beginner to a slowly advanced trainee in the course of about 3 months, and you maybe want to combine it with some easy to follow nutrition coaching because maybe you want to lose weight or you want to get in shape, then check out 90 Days of Kettlebells. You'll find the link in the description. 14-day free trial included.